Hey, what's going on, Angels fans, and welcome back to another episode of Angels Latest, the show where we track every move, question every rumor, and try to make sense of an offseason that never seems to slow down. With a little excitement, a little anxiety, and just enough hope to keep us checking our phones way more than we probably should. And because let's be honest, being an Angels fan in the off season, it's a full-time job. And if you've taken any day off, yeah, you might have missed something. And free agents are flying off the board. Trade rumors are heating up, and teams are making their moves. They're making them quietly, loudly, and strategically. And the clock, it just keeps ticking. Now, the Angels, they've made a few moves, some solid, some interesting, and some that may make you say, okay, I think I see what you're doing there. But as the rest of the league keeps pushing forward, it seems like the Angels have just kind of stalled, and you can feel that familiar pressure starting to build. We're not a panic yet, not a doom, just that unmistakable sense that standing still right now isn't really an option. And can Perry Manasian salvage this? And that's the moment we're in. Opportunity mixed with urgency, optimism mixed with some very fair questions. And that's exactly why this show exists. I mean, we're going to break things down clearly, separate the noise from reality, talk Angels baseball the way fans actually do. We're even mention some things that we would like to see. May not be realistic, but dreams and goals, and who knows, they could come to fruition. So if you're new, welcome. I'm your host, Anthony. And around here, we bring, again, the analysis, keep the passion, and never pretend this team doesn't mean something to us. So get comfortable. Grab whatever drink you'd like. Grab your support rally monkey because we've got moves to discuss, names to analyze, and some big questions facing this organization. And we're diving into all of it right now. All right, Angels fans, let's dive into our first topic here. And of course, there's one thing the Angels need this offseason. It's not just bullpen help, it's pitching help. Starting pitching and relief pitching. And here's the problem. You can't fix one without thinking about the other. If your starters don't give you the innings that you need, well, your bullpen gets cooked and burned out by June. And if your bullpen can't protect leads, well, then, geez, your starters get punished for not being perfect. So when we talk about the Angels needing the arms, yeah, we're talking about two things at the same time. And more quality innings and more reliable outs in the late innings for the Angels. So that brings us to a name that fits this conversation perfectly. Zack Littell. Because Littell is the kind of pitcher teams sign when they're saying things like, we need stability, we need the innings, we need fewer bullpen emergencies. So let's run through the profile, and I'm not leaving anything out here for Zack Littell. We're going to put it all out there for everyone to take a look at. So Zack Littell's full name is Zack Stewart Littell. Yeah, I guess his parents were a book fan, huh? He was born October 5th, 1995 in Burlington, North Carolina. He's a right-handed pitcher, and he also not only throws right, but bats right. He's listed at 6'4", 250 pounds, and was drafted in the 11th round of the 2013 MLB draft by the Seattle Mariners right out of high school in North Carolina. Now, early in his major league journey, Littell bounced around in roles. He had some bullpen work, long relief, spot starts, the classic valuable arm, still finding, his lane type of guy. But in the last couple of seasons, especially in 2024 into 2025, he became something teams always pay for. A real rotation starter who takes the ball. And in 2025, he ended the year with the Cincinnati Reds, a big red machine. After being acquired at the deadline in July 31st of 2025 in a three-team trade where the Reds got him from the Rays, So yes, he's been a Ray and then he's been a Red. And now he's in the 2025-26 free agent class. So here's the numbers and what they define Little is on the radar for the 2025 snapshot season. So in 2025, he made 32 appearances, basically all as starts, and he went 10 wins, 8 losses, 3.81 ERA, and a 1.10 walks plus hits per innings pitched, and 186.2 innings pitched, 130 strikeouts, and that innings total, that's the headline. Because innings are the currency of pitching stability. Every team thinks they have enough arms until the injury bugs start to come at you. So let's talk about his pitching style and what he is. As Little is not a blow you away type of ace. He's not living at 99 miles per hour with wipeout stuff. He's more of a contact management starter, a guy who succeeds by throwing strikes, limiting walks, staying efficient, and getting you deep into games that your bullpen doesn't have to pitch 4 innings every night. Yeah, that would be a dream for us Angels fans. And the data supports that style. In 2025, his strikeout rate was above 17.1%. I mean, that's way below the league's big power arms. So he's not built on pure strikeout dominance. I mean, here's some of his strengths. So here's what he does well and why teams would want him. Strength number 1, durability innings. He's a legit workhorse type in today's game. 186.2 innings pitched is not an accident. That's taking the ball, surviving lineups, and keeping your season afloat. Strength number 2, the control and walk avoidance. His profile is built around limiting free passes. And for a staff that has had stretches of self-inflicted damages, that really does matter. And strength number 3, efficiency. He can keep the pitch counts manageable. I mean, he can get you through 6, and that is how you protect a bullpen. And the 4th strength, the role versatility. I mean, he's been a reliever and then a starter, so he understands how to pivot if the staff needs it. Now let's look at some of the weaknesses as they are real as well. And this is where the Angels fit conversation gets interesting. So weakness number 1, a low strikeout profile. When you don't miss a ton of bats, you're more dependent on defense and sequencing. And that means some nights, a couple of bloops and one bad pitch. I mean, one big swing, and that ruins the whole outing. Number 2, the home runs susceptibility. I mean, he has shown some home run vulnerability. And that's something teams have to put in the price based when they're in on a park and a roster defense. And the 3rd weakness, non-elite stuff. I mean, this is not elite velocity, elite movement, or even elite wipeout. It's his command, execution, and efficiency. So the ceiling is more solid to mid-rotation than frontline star. So let's talk about his awards and accolades. And to answer it clearly, Little does not have any major MLB awards or headline accolades. No All-Star selections, no Cy Young votes, no big trophy cases. And so you might be saying, Anthony, then what does he bring? Well, he does have that team's value a lot. And that is reputation as a reliable professional and proof that he can give you a starter's workload. So what kind of free agent is he? Based on the free agent market tier, I mean, what do we find him at? So he'll be at a mid-rotation innings eater free agent, not an ace, as we said, not a depth-only arm, more like a dependable number 4 starter, someone who raises the floor. Now, what does he bring for the Angels, and what does it matter? So again, we bring it all back to our halos. Why would the Angels consider a guy like Zack Littell? Because the Angels don't just need a flashy, they need a functional, they need innings, they need fewer bullpen games, they need more nights where the bullpen isn't in the panic mode by the 4th inning. And that's what Little brings, in the rotation is predictability. And predictability is the first step to fixing both the rotation and the bullpen. So, what kind of contract expectations, what it could look like? Financially, Little is not likely to live in the superstar aisle. He's more in that smart value starter range. He's one major projection out there is that, you know, he's 2 years, $18 million contract value, about $9 million per year average annual value. Now, for the Angels, a realistic structure could look like this: 1 year, $10 to $12 million contract value with incentives, or maybe even 2 years, roughly $22 to $26 million contract value if there's competition. And you can tie incentives to innings pitched because that's the product you're paying for. So, what are the risks and reward outcomes if he's an Angel? Well, the real risk and reward is if the Angels sign him, the reward is, and in best case, you get a steady 180 inning starter type. Great, value, right? Your bullpen is healthier, your young arms are not rushed, and you stop living in emergency mode. Now, here's the risk. The worst case, the home run issue plays up, the low strikeout profile gets punished, and he looks more like a back-end arm than the stabilizer. But either way, this is the kind of signing that usually doesn't win headlines. And we've talked about it before, but it can absolutely win you weeks of the season. And that's why when we talk about the Angels needing both starting pitching and relief pitching, kind of go hand in hand, right? A name like Zack Littell matters. Because if you can fix the innings, you can start fixing the bullpen. And then the rest of the roster just starts making more sense, starts falling into line. And absolutely, that is what can happen. So that is Zack Littell. All right, our second topic. And this one is interesting because it's not chasing a superstar. It's about chasing structure. And the name that keeps coming up in that conversation, Jeff McNeil. Now, before anyone says it, I hear you. No, you're right. This is not a flashy move. This doesn't break the internet. And this isn't the Angels winning the offseason. However, it is the kind of move that front offices do make when, we're trying to stop the leaks in the boat. And that's what we have. Before worrying about how fast it all just is going to go and sink. So let's break it all the way down. Let's talk about his background, player profile, strengths, weaknesses, and even the contract fit, and why Jeff McNeil actually makes a lot of sense in Anaheim. So Jeff McNeil's full name is Jeffrey Todd McNeil. He was born April 8th, 1992 in Santa Barbara, California. So another SoCal kid. Throws right, bats left. He was drafted in the 12th round of the 2013 Major League Baseball draft by the New York Mets. Now, he didn't debut until 2018 at the age of 26. So this was never a fast-track prospect story. This was a grinder's path. And from that moment he arrived, McNeil built his reputation on one thing above all else, and that is contact. He earned the nickname the Flying Squirrel. That's not because he's flashy, but because he's everywhere. Let's talk about his player profile, what he is. He is a contact-first, on-base-driven, multi-position player. He's played second base, left field, right field, and third base. And also DH. And that versatility, that's not theoretical. It is real. But make no mistake, he's not a star at every position. He's a glue guy. And glue guys matter. Let's talk about his career. As over in his career, McNeil has become a high contact hitter. a career batting average around 284. And in 2025, his line looked like this: 243 batting average, 335 on base percentage, 411 slugging percentage with 12 home runs. Now, that's not star level. That's not even, star level production. But it's league average offense with value baked in it. And when you combine that with low strikeouts and consistent contact, that profile plays in the right lineup. So let's talk about his strengths. And there are several for McNeil. Strength number one, the contact and bat to ball. McNeil does not strike out much. He really puts the ball in play. And in today's game, that is a skill. Strength number two, plate discipline. He knows and controls the strike zone. He draws out walks, extends at bats. His third strength, versatility. The guy can move around the diamond, and that allows a manager to survive injuries without the lineup falling apart. His fourth strength, baseball IQ and effort. He plays hard, he plays smart, and his teammates trust him. All right, let's talk about the weaknesses, as they definitely matter too. Weakness number one, limited power. He's not a middle of the order slugger. The power is modest. Weakness number two, the age curve. He's in his early 30s. This is not a projection play. This is what you see is what you get profile. Weakness number three, the defensive ceiling. Now, he's serviceable defensively, but not elite at any one spot. Weakness number four, recent health issues. After the 2025 season, McNeil underwent a procedure related to thoracic outlet syndrome, and that's something teams absolutely factor in. Now, what about the awards and accolades for McNeil? As he does have hardware. He's a two-time Major League Baseball All-Star. That was in 2019 and 2022. 2022 National League Batting Champion. Also, the 2022 Silver Slugger Award. That's not nothing. That's peak level proof. So here's where things get interesting about his contract status and why he's tradable. So McNeil is under contract, but not locked up forever. His deal looks like this, and it could be, 2026 salary, $15.75 million, his annual salary, with the 2027 club option of $15.75 million or a $2 million buyout. It's a buyout clause. So that structure matters because it gives the acquiring team flexibility and it gives the Mets motivation, especially with the infield crowding and roster reshuffling that the Mets are undergoing. So where does he actually play and fit with the Angels? So the biggest question isn't can he play here? It's where does he play most nights? And the best answer is second base and left field. He fits as a second base left field hybrid and occasional third base and occasional DH. And in the lineup, well, he works best as a table setter or an inning stabilizer. So maybe batting second or even fifth. Basically protecting young hitters and keeping the innings alive. So what does he actually bring to the Angels? That's a question we all can ponder. But he brings on-base ability. He brings contact. He brings positional flexibility. And he brings professional at-bats. He does raise the floor of the lineup. He gives the manager options. And he helps this team survive the grind. All right, so what could it cost in the trade reality? As this wouldn't be a blockbuster trade by all means. So what's the most realistic scenario? Well, the Mets eat some of the salary. The Angels send a mid-tier or lower-tier prospect. And if the Angels take on the full salary, well, the prospect cost goes up. But this is not a premium prospect deal by all means, no. This is going to be a structure trade. Basically, nothing, mind-blowing. So here's the honest takeaway. Jeff McNeil doesn't change the Angels' ceiling, but he does change their shape. He smooths the rough edges. He absorbs the chaos. And he makes the lineup feel more complete. And sometimes that's exactly the move a team needs. Because winning seasons aren't just built on stars. They're built on stability. And Jeff McNeil, he's stability. All right, Angels fans, we've got to shift gears here for a moment because we've got some more with the latest update in the Tyler Skaggs wrongful death civil trial. And it's heavy. It's emotional. And it matters, not just legally, but organizationally. And I want to be really clear up front. This is not a hot take segment. I mean, this is a real human story. And we're going to cover it with the respect it deserves. So while still breaking down what's actually happening in court, so let's talk about the latest. So we're in the closing argument territory now. And what the attorneys are doing in closing is simple. They're telling the jury two completely different stories about the same tragedy. So, first, the point of this trial is it's not about whether Eric Kay supplied the drug. That's already been established in federal court. Eric Kay was convicted in 2022 of providing the counterfeit oxycodone pill that was laced with fentanyl. Excuse me. And he was sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. So this civil case is different. This is about whether the Los Angeles Angels organization should be held legally responsible. Because the Skaggs family argues the team knew or should have known what was happening and failed to act. The lawsuit was filed by Tyler's widow, Carly Skaggs, and his parents. They're seeking wrongful death damages, including lost earnings, pain and suffering. They're also pursuing punitive damages. Let's talk about the medical facts at the center of this, as just to give you an idea of what occurred. So Tyler Skaggs was found dead in a hotel room in Texas in 2019 on a team trip where the Angels were supposed to open a series against the Texas Rangers. The coroner's report described that he died after choking on his own vomit, and a toxic mix was found in his system, including fentanyl, oxycodone, and alcohol. So let's talk about the closing arguments. And two different stories going on here. So let's talk about what happened. The plaintiff's story, systematic failure. On the Skaggs family side, their attorney argued that this was not just an individual tragedy, but a systemic breakdown. The argument is basically this. The Angels had warning signs about Eric Kay, their employee. And even those warning signs, he remained employed. He remained around the team and retained access to the players. They pointed to testimony about incidents like pills being found at Kay's home, Kay being hospitalized for a drug overdose. And despite all of that, those red flags, they say the team did not take adequate action to stop what was happening. The plaintiff's framing is this. If an employee has that kind of access and the organization doesn't intervene, then the organization shares responsibility for what that environment allowed. Now, on the defense story, talks about private, concealed, personal choices, and that's what the Angels attorney is arguing. It's very different. The defense says the Angels did not know Tyler was an addict. They did not know Kay was distributing drugs and that the drug use was private, concealed, and outside the scope of employment. I mean, they're essentially arguing personal responsibility and secrecy. That this was illegal activity happening off the radar and kept hidden from the team, and that the organization cannot be held liable for what they didn't know. So now, here's what the jury is being asked to decide. The jury isn't deciding whether this tragedy happened. It's clear. They're being asked to decide, did the Angels owe a duty of care here? And did the Angels breach that duty by failing to act on warning signs? And that's why you keep hearing the argument framed as team responsibility versus individual responsibility. So we had witnesses and testimony that shaped this case, as it featured testimony from a long list of key witnesses, including Angels outfielder Mike Trout and Angels president John Carpino. Carpino testified that he wished he had known sooner about the drug use. And that line matters because it speaks to the core issue. The jury is weighing in what the organization knew, when they knew it, and what they did or didn't do with that information. So now we're going to talk about the damages and money and other major battles here. So this is important of what's on the table. The Skaggs family is seeking lost future earnings, and there have been competing expert projections. One side is arguing he could have earned over $100 million, while the team's expert put it much lower, around $32 million. And there's also the behind-the-scenes reality here. Insurance is a factor, as there's been reporting that the Angels insurers are closely involved, and with the possibility of risk management approaching, like a high-low structure being considered. I mean, essentially tying the limit to the range of outcomes. Now, again, we keep talking about the bigger MLB impact, and that's one more thing this case has already had league-wide impact. After Tyler's death, Major League Baseball reached an agreement with the Players Association to begin opioid testing and to refer players who test positive into treatment pathways. So no matter where the verdict lands, this tragedy has already changed policy. So where do things stand right now? And right now we're at the stage where the jurors are deliberating. And the outcome here can be massive, financially, legally, and in terms of how MLB organizations think about oversight, employee conduct, and player health. So I'll say this carefully. This isn't just a courtroom battle. This isn't just a test of accountability. It's a test of systems. A test of what a professional organization is responsible for when the stakes are this high. And as soon as we get a verdict, we're going to break it down exactly what it means. Also, what it changes and what it says about the Angels moving forward. Absolutely. This is something we're going to keep our eye on, and we'll continue to provide you with the latest updates, as this is a very sensitive subject and topic, and it really affects us all, as it's a human being here that we're discussing, and we'll keep you updated. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our favorite part of the show. Drum roll. Think you can all guess with me? Well, viewer comments. And this is where you come in, because every episode, you guys bring the questions. I mean, you bring it home and the ideas. You also bring the frustration, the optimism, and honestly, some of the smartest roster takes anywhere. I love talking baseball with you. And, if you dropped a comment, if you liked debated or challenged something we talked about, I mean, this segment is for you. So let's jump right into our first comment. This first one comes from Greg McKittrick, 6407, and they write, need to spend money on a left-hand bat, third baseman, possibly a center fielder. Teodosio can succeed in the center fielder role if the other positions can play offense. Stephenson, Joyce, or Manoa can close now if they decide not to start Detmers. He can close. All right, that's a really smart comment because it hits on something that doesn't get talked enough about: resource allocation. And at Greg McKintrick 6407 is basically saying, don't overspend everywhere. Be intentional. Let's walk through this piece by piece. First, the left-handed bat at third base. This is absolutely a real need, and that's where a name like Jeff McNeil even enters the conversation. Not as a power bat, but as a contact on-base ability and flexibility. Center field, I actually agree with the logic. Teodosio doesn't even have to be a star. I mean, he just can't be a liability if the rest of the lineup produces. All right, now the closer discussion. Stephenson, Joyce, Moniak, for now, I mean, that's realistic. And the Detmers idea, I mean, that's fascinating. High leverage left-handed power absolutely plays. And the big picture? Spend on offense and starting pitcher. And that's exactly how you stabilize the roster. All right, our next one comes from J.H. Berg 17, and they say the following. Except Detroit already has a better closer with Will Vest. I'd expect him to take back the job by mid-season. And that's talking about the Kenley Jansen signing. And that's a really sharp counterpoint. And honestly, it's a fair one. I mean, Will Vest is not a placeholder. I mean, he's already proven he can handle leverage. I mean, yeah, he's probably is Detroit's best reliever. So the idea that he takes the job back by mid-season, completely realistic. It'll be an interesting battle between him and Jansen. It also reinforces something important. Closers are fluid. They change. I mean, they're earned and not guaranteed. I mean, ask Jansen, right? And that's exactly why the Angels shouldn't panic and overspend on a closer in December. Because what looks locked in now can look very different by June. So great catch. All right, our last comment comes from Gib Brand Avila 2557. Excuse me. He says, very difficult to watch other teams continue to sign players, and we continue to sit back and watch as passionate Angels fans. It seems we're headed to another losing season. Yeah, and I feel you on this one. I mean, a lot of Angels fans feel this one. And when you keep seeing other teams sign players and make trades, it gets frustrating to see them making moves and our team feels quiet. It's frustrating. I totally understand, and it's valid. But here's the perspective piece. Silence doesn't always mean inaction, right? And movement doesn't always mean progress. But we've seen teams win the offseason and lose the season. That doesn't mean the Angels get a free pass, though. They still need to add, and they still need pitching. They still need offensive stability, as they can't afford to spend just to make noise, because that's how you end up right back here. So the frustration is real, but the progress still has to show up, and we're hoping Perry Manasian can do it, because if it doesn't, we're right here calling it out again. And this right here is why we love Angels, the Angels latest community. Your thoughtful takes, your real emotion, and fans who can actually care about how this team is built. Excuse me. So keep the comments coming because I read them. We talk about them and they help drive this show. All right, fans, that's going to do it for this episode of Angels Latest. And man, it was another full episode. We covered a lot. We kicked things off by zooming in on one of the biggest issues facing this team right now, and that is the Angels' need for pitching. Not, both in the rotation and in the bullpen. We talked about why innings matter, why stability matters, and how fixing the starting rotation can quietly fix the bullpen too. And that led us straight to talking about the Zack Littell conversation. I mean, the innings. We also talked about the durability, the control, and why a move like that might not grab the headlines, but it could absolutely raise the floor for this pitching staff. Then we shifted over to the position player side of things, kind of got out of the pitching, and took a deep dive into Jeff McNeil. Not a splash move by all means, but as a structure move, yes, we get contact, on-base ability, positional flexibility, and how adding the right kind of bat can smooth out a lineup that's had too many dead spots. And then we took a moment to slow things down and talk about the latest update in the Tyler Skaggs wrongful death trial. We looked at the arguments, the responsibility debate, and why this case goes beyond baseball. And it speaks to the accountability, systems, and player well-being. And of course, we wrapped it all together with you. The viewer comments, the roster ideas, the bullpen debates, the frustration, the patience, and the passion that proves just how much this fan base really cares. So now it's your turn, Angels fans. What do you want to see next? Do you want to prioritize starting pitching? Do you want to chase lineup stability? Tell me, do you trust internal bullpen options? Or do you want the Angels to go make a big move? Drop your takes in the comments below. I want to hear your opinions, your disagreements, your predictions. I mean, you already know. We love featuring your comments right here on the show. They're fun, they're respectful, and as always, thank you so much for watching and for commenting. And also for helping us being a growing community of Angels Latest. You bring the energy, the engagement, the conversation. It's all because of you. And I'll keep showing up, breaking down the rumors, bringing up some ideas, tracking the deals, calling it how I see it, and riding every twist and turn of this offseason together as roller coaster pals, right? Do me a favor. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notifications so you never miss a new episode of Angels Latest. Alrighty, Angels fans, thanks for watching. I truly appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for commenting, and thanks for being part of the Angels Latest community. And as always, go Halos.